A bright streak of light cut through the night sky, capturing the attention of those who gazed up at the stars. It wasn't a shooting star or a meteor. It was something much larger and more mysterious. As the object moved closer to Earth, it became clear that this was a ship, an alien ship, battered and barely holding together. The vessel wobbled as it entered Earth's orbit, sending out weak distress signals that echoed across the planet. In a secure room deep within a military base, a team of Earth's top scientists and military leaders watched the event unfold on their monitors. The ship's design was unfamiliar, and the signals it emitted were garbled, almost as if the ship's communication systems were on the verge of collapse. "Are they trying to contact us?" asked Commander Davis, a stern-faced leader with years of experience dealing with extraterrestrial matters. "Yes, sir," replied Dr. Evans, a communication specialist. "But their message is barely coming through. The ship is in bad shape." The commander frowned. The Galactic Council had long warned humanity to be cautious of alien encounters, especially with the risk of misunderstandings or conflicts. Yet Earth had never faced anything quite like this, a ship seemingly lost and desperate. "Get a team ready," Davis ordered. "We're going to check it out." A small but highly skilled team was quickly assembled. The group included engineers, medical personnel, and a few soldiers, just in case. They boarded a shuttle and set off toward the damaged alien ship. As they approached, the extent of the damage became more evident. The ship was scarred with burn marks, its hull cracked and leaking some sort of vapor. It was a miracle the vessel had even made it to Earth. The human shuttle docked with the alien ship, and the team carefully made their way inside. The interior was dimly lit, with sparks flying from exposed wires and the air thick with smoke. The ship's corridors were eerily quiet, save for the distant hum of failing machinery. "Stay alert," whispered Captain Ramirez, the team's leader, as they ventured deeper into the ship. Eventually, they reached the ship's bridge. There, they found the alien crew, or what was left of them. The aliens were humanoid, but with distinct features: large, dark eyes, pale skin, and elongated limbs. Many were slumped over their consoles, unconscious or worse. The sight sent a chill through the human team. "Are they still alive?" Davis asked through the comms, his voice tense. "Barely, Dr. Lee," the team's medic responded after checking the nearest alien. "They're in critical condition. We need to get them back to our ship if they're going to have any chance." Without hesitation, the team began the delicate process of moving the surviving aliens to their shuttle. The aliens, though weak and disoriented, didn't resist. They seemed too far gone to comprehend what was happening, their eyes filled with a mix of fear and confusion. As they worked, Captain Ramirez couldn't help but wonder what had brought the aliens to this point. Who were they? Where had they come from? And what had happened to their ship? Once the last of the survivors was safely aboard the human shuttle, the team made a quick retreat back to Earth. The damaged alien ship was left in orbit, its fate uncertain. As they entered Earth's atmosphere, Commander Davis's thoughts echoed the concerns of his team. The Galactic Council had warned that humans should be cautious, but how could they turn their backs on a dying crew, no matter where they came from? Unbeknownst to them, this act of compassion would soon set off a chain of events that would challenge everything the galaxy thought it knew about humanity. The human shuttle touched down on Earth, its doors opening to reveal the alien survivors being carefully unloaded. Medical teams were waiting, ready to rush the aliens to the medical bay. The human crew watched with a mix of concern and curiosity. They had done what they could, but the rest was up to the doctors. In a sterile, brightly lit room, one of the alien leaders began to regain consciousness. His large, dark eyes slowly opened, taking in his unfamiliar surroundings. Panic surged through him as he realized he was no longer on his ship. He tried to move, but his body was too weak, still recovering from the trauma. Machines beeped softly around him, monitoring his vital signs. A human doctor entered the room, noticing the alien's growing distress. "Easy there," she said in a calm voice, holding up her hands to show she meant no harm. "You're safe. We're here to help." The alien stared at her, confused. He had been taught all his life that humans were ruthless, dangerous beings who destroyed anything that threatened them. But here he was, alive and being cared for by those very same humans. His mind struggled to make sense of it. "Where am I?" he managed to ask, his voice weak and raspy. "You're on Earth," the doctor replied. "Your ship was in bad shape, and we brought you here to save you." "You're in a hospital," The alien blinked, trying to process the information. You saved us? It was more a statement than a question, as if he couldn't believe his own words. The doctor nodded. Yes, we did. You were in danger, and we couldn't just leave you to die. As the days passed, the rest of the alien crew began to recover as well. They were all housed in a secure facility, monitored by both doctors and security personnel. The aliens were still wary, unsure of their fate. Whispers spread among them, rumors about what the humans might do. Would they be experimented on? Interrogated? The fear of the unknown weighed heavily on them. The alien leader, now stronger, requested a meeting with the human commander. He needed answers. He was escorted to a meeting room where Commander Davis was waiting. The two beings, representing different worlds and vastly different cultures, sat across from each other in a tense silence. Finally, the alien leader spoke. Why did you save us? You're kind. You're known for your strength in battle, not for mercy. Davis leaned back in his chair, his expression unreadable. We're not the monsters you've been led to believe, he said evenly. Yes, we're strong, and yes, we fight when we have to. But we don't kill without reason. We don't destroy for the sake of destruction. Your crew was in trouble, and we did what we could to help. The alien leader studied Davis's face, searching for any sign of deception. But all he saw was a man who spoke the truth. This was not what he had expected. His entire worldview was being challenged, and it unsettled him deeply. But why? The alien pressed. What do you gain from helping us? Davis met the alien's gaze, his eyes steady. Sometimes doing the right thing is enough, he replied. We don't need to gain anything. We helped because it was the right thing to do. The alien leader fell silent, absorbing Davis's words. This concept was foreign to him. In his world, actions were driven by gain, by advantage. The idea of helping without expecting anything in return was almost incomprehensible. As the meeting continued, the two leaders began to discuss the events that had led to the alien ship's downfall. The alien leader revealed that their ship had been attacked by a rogue faction within the Galactic Council, a group that sought to provoke a war with Earth. The rogue faction believed that humanity was too powerful, too dangerous to be left unchecked. Davis listened carefully, his mind racing. This was a serious accusation, one that could have far-reaching consequences. But it also explained the aliens' fear, their hesitation to trust. In that moment, a fragile alliance was born. The alien leader, though still cautious, began to see humanity in a new light. Perhaps these humans were not the enemies he had once believed. Perhaps together, they could uncover the truth behind the attack and prevent the war that others so desperately wanted to start. The first seeds of trust were planted, but it would take time for them to grow. Both sides knew that the road ahead would be difficult, fraught with challenges and dangers. But for now, they had a common goal. A goal that might just change the fate of the galaxy. As the days passed, the fragile alliance between the humans and the alien survivors grew stronger. The alien leader, now fully recovered, spent hours each day in meetings with Commander Davis and his team. They were determined to uncover the truth behind the attack on the alien ship, knowing that the rogue faction within the Galactic Council posed a serious threat to both their species. In a secure briefing room deep within the military base, the human and alien teams gathered to review the evidence they had collected so far. Holographic displays lit up with images of the damaged alien ship, intercepted communications, and star charts showing the possible location of the rogue faction's base. Our sensors picked up a strange signal just before your ship was attacked, Davis explained, pointing to a section of the star chart. It originated from this sector, near the edge of Galactic Council territory. We believe this is where the rogue faction is hiding. The alien leader nodded, his expression serious. This sector is largely uncharted and far from any major trade routes. It would be an ideal place for a group to operate in secret. Dr. Evans, the communication specialist, chimed in. We've also decoded some of the messages your ship received before the attack. They were heavily encrypted, but we managed to extract some key phrases. It seems the rogue faction was planning this ambush for months, maybe even years. The room fell silent as the gravity of the situation sank in. The rogue faction wasn't just a group of rebels. They were a well-organized and dangerous force with the potential to ignite a war that could devastate the entire galaxy. We need to act quickly, Davis said, breaking the silence. If we can find their base and gather evidence of their plans, we can expose them to the Galactic Council. But we need to be careful. If they realize we're onto them, they might escalate their attacks." The alien leader agreed. "My people have suffered enough because of this faction. We must stop them before they cause more harm. But we will need more than just brute force. We need to outsmart them, to hit them where they least expect it." Over the next few days, the humans and aliens worked tirelessly to prepare for their mission. They studied the rogue faction's tactics, analyzed their communication patterns, and devised a plan that relied on both stealth and precision. The goal was not to destroy the faction outright, but to gather enough evidence to force the Galactic Council to act against them. The human team, led by Captain Ramirez, was chosen to infiltrate the rogue faction's base. The aliens. They studied the rogue faction's tactics, analyzed their communication patterns, and devised a plan that relied on both stealth and precision. The goal was not to destroy the faction outright, but to gather enough evidence to force the Galactic Council to act against them. The human team, led by Captain Ramirez, was chosen to infiltrate the rogue faction's base. The aliens, still recovering from their injuries, would provide support from orbit, using their advanced sensors to track the humans' progress and warn them of any dangers. As the infiltration team boarded their shuttle, there was a palpable sense of tension in the air. They were heading into enemy territory, with no guarantee of success. But they knew that failure was not an option. The future of both their species depended on the success of this mission. The shuttle approached the rogue faction's base, a hidden facility on a barren, rocky planet. From a distance, the base looked like little more than a cluster of jagged rocks, but as the shuttle drew closer, the outlines of buildings and defensive structures became visible. Captain Ramirez and his team disembarked, moving silently across the rocky terrain. The air was thin and the sky was dark, the planet's weak sun barely providing enough light to see by. The team used their night vision equipment to navigate the treacherous landscape, keeping low to avoid detection. Inside the base, the rogue faction was completely unaware of the approaching threat. They continued their work, confident in the secrecy of their location. But the humans were skilled at moving unseen, and they quickly breached the outer defenses without raising any alarms. As the team moved deeper into the base, they came across a large control room filled with monitors and communication equipment. This was the heart of the operation, the place where the rogue faction coordinated their attacks and plotted their next moves. Captain Ramirez signaled his team to start gathering evidence. They downloaded files, intercepted communications, and recorded everything they could find. The rogue faction's plans were laid bare. Detailed strategies to incite war, sabotage peace talks, and manipulate the Galactic Council. Just as they were finishing up, an alarm suddenly blared through the base. The rogue faction had discovered the breach. "We're out of time!" Ramirez shouted, motioning for his team to retreat. They had the evidence they needed, but now they had to get out alive. The team raced back to their shuttle, dodging blaster fire and avoiding the rapidly deploying enemy forces. With seconds to spare, they boarded the shuttle and took off, the base disappearing into the distance as they blasted into space. As they sped away, the tension in the shuttle eased. They had succeeded in uncovering the plot, and now they had the proof needed to bring the rogue faction to justice. The first part of their mission was complete, but the hardest part was yet to come, convincing the Galactic Council to take action before it was too late. The evidence gathered from the rogue faction's base was undeniable. Detailed plans, intercepted communications, and even video recordings of secret meetings were all neatly compiled and sent to the Galactic Council. Commander Davis and the alien leader knew this was their best chance to stop the rogue faction, but they also knew how difficult it would be to convince the Council to act. In the Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council, representatives from dozens of species gathered. The chamber was vast, with towering walls adorned with the symbols of each member race. The air buzzed with tension as the council members reviewed the evidence presented by the humans and their new alien allies. The rogue faction's plot was more extensive and dangerous than anyone had imagined. At the center of the chamber, the council's senior members, a group of wise, experienced leaders, sat in a semicircle, their faces unreadable. Among them was Chancellor Zeltor, a towering figure with a reputation for being cautious and deliberate. His piercing eyes scanned the documents before him, taking in every detail. Commander Davis stood before the council, flanked by the alien leader. The two of them made an unlikely pair, united by the shared goal of preventing a galactic war. As the council members murmured among themselves, Davis could feel the weight of their judgment. The fate of the galaxy hung in the balance, and it all depended on what happened in this room. Finally, Chancellor Zeltor raised a hand, signaling for silence. The chamber fell quiet as all eyes turned to him. "Commander Davis," Zeltor began, his voice deep and measured, "the evidence you have provided is compelling. The rogue faction you describe poses a significant threat to the stability of our galaxy. However, there are those who believe that your actions may have escalated the situation. How do you respond to these concerns?" Davis took a deep breath before speaking. "Chancellor, I understand the concerns of the Council, but the reality is that this rogue faction has been operating in the shadows for years, planning to incite a war that would devastate countless worlds. If we hadn't acted, they would have continued their plans unchecked. Our goal was never to escalate the conflict, but to prevent it." The alien leader stepped forward, his voice steady. "My people were the first victims of this faction. They attacked us without warning, and we barely escaped with our lives. The humans saved us, not because they sought to involve themselves in our conflict, but because it was the right thing to do. We stand before you today as proof that humanity is not the enemy, but an ally." The council members exchanged glances, clearly divided. Some nodded in agreement, while others remained skeptical. Chancellor Zeltor leaned back in his seat, deep in thought. "The Galactic Council has long believed that humans are a powerful and unpredictable force. Your actions, while noble, have raised questions about how you will respond in the future. How can we be sure that humanity will not become the very threat we seek to avoid?" Davis didn't hesitate. "Because we believe in justice, Chancellor. We believe in protecting the innocent and stopping those who would do harm. The rogue faction is the real threat, not us. We are offering our help to bring them to justice, to ensure that peace is maintained across the galaxy." The chamber was silent for a long moment as the council members considered Davis's words. Finally, Zeltor spoke again, his voice firm. "The Galactic Council will not ignore this threat. We will investigate the rogue faction's activities and take the necessary steps to dismantle their operations. However, we must proceed with caution. The balance of power in the galaxy is delicate, and one wrong move could lead to disaster." Davis and the alien leader exchanged a glance, a silent understanding passing between them. It wasn't the decisive action they had hoped for, but it was a start. The council was willing to act, even if they were doing so cautiously. "Thank you, Chancellor," Davis said, bowing slightly. "We will provide any assistance you need in this matter. Together we can stop this faction before they cause more harm." As the meeting adjourned, Davis and the alien leader left the chamber, their minds racing with the challenges that still lay ahead. The Galactic Council's response had been measured, but it was clear that they were wary of humanity's growing influence. The road to peace would not be easy, but for now, they had gained the Council's attention, and with it, a chance to change the course of galactic history. But they knew the rogue faction wouldn't go down without a fight. The next move was theirs, and it would be one that could either secure the fragile peace or shatter it entirely. With the Galactic Council's cautious approval, Commander Davis and the alien leader returned to Earth to prepare for the next steps. Although they had managed to convince the Council to act against the rogue faction, both knew that the fight was far from over. The rogue faction was still out there, plotting their next move, and the fragile alliance between humans and aliens would be tested in the days to come. Back at the Earth base, Davis and his team worked closely with their alien counterparts. The once cold and wary relationship between the two groups had warmed considerably. They shared intelligence, exchanged technology, and even trained together, each learning from the other's strengths. The aliens, who had once feared humans as ruthless killers, began to see them in a new light, as protectors, allies, and perhaps even friends. The alien leader, who had been skeptical of humanity at first, spent more and more time with Davis. They often sat together in the command center, discussing strategies and reflecting on the events that had brought them together. One evening, after a particularly long day of planning, the alien leader turned to Davis with a thoughtful expression. "You know," the alien leader began, "when we first encountered humans, we were told stories of your ferocity, your strength in battle. We believed that you were a threat to the galaxy, a force that would stop at nothing to achieve your goals." Davis listened quietly, sensing that this was an important moment. The alien leader continued, But now, after everything we've been through, I see that we were wrong. Yes, humans are strong, and yes, you fight with determination, but you also value life, even the lives of those who are not your own. You could have left us to die, but you chose to save us instead. That is not the act of a ruthless killer. Davis smiled, a hint of relief in his eyes. We're not perfect, he admitted. We've made our share of mistakes, and we've had to fight to survive in a galaxy that's often hostile. But we believe in doing what's right, even when it's difficult. And we believe that working together is the best way to ensure peace for everyone. The alien leader nodded slowly, absorbing Davis's words. Perhaps this is the beginning of something new, he mused. A partnership that could change the future of the galaxy. If we can stand together against those who seek to divide us, then maybe there is hope for true peace. Their conversation was interrupted by a sudden alert from the command center. The rogue faction had been located, their base detected on the fringes of the galaxy. The time had come to act. Davis and the alien leader exchanged a determined look, both ready to face the challenge ahead. The joint human-alien task force was quickly mobilized. Ships from both sides filled the hangars, ready to launch at a moment's notice. The atmosphere in the base was tense, but filled with a sense of purpose. This mission wasn't just about stopping a dangerous faction. It was about proving that cooperation between humans and aliens could succeed. As the fleet prepared to depart, Davis and the alien leader stood side by side, watching the ships being readied for battle. No matter what happens out there, Davis said quietly, we've already accomplished something important. We've shown that we can work together, that we can trust each other. That's a victory in itself. The alien leader glanced at Davis, a newfound respect in his eyes. Yes, it is, he agreed. But let's make sure we come back with the final victory as well. With those words, the fleet launched into the stars, heading towards the rogue faction's base. The battle that followed was fierce, but the combined forces of humans and aliens fought with a unity that surprised even themselves. The rogue faction, caught off guard by the strength of this new alliance, was swiftly defeated. When the dust settled, the galaxy was a different place. The rogue faction had been dismantled, its leaders captured and brought before the Galactic Council to answer for their crimes. But more importantly, a new understanding had been forged between humans and aliens, a bond that would shape the future of the galaxy for generations to come. Back on Earth, Davis and the alien leader stood once again in the command center, watching as the last of the enemy ships was escorted away. It's over, Davis said, a note of satisfaction in his voice. The alien leader nodded, but there was a hint of something more in his expression, a sense of hope. No, he corrected gently. This is just the beginning.